Hello students, welcome back. So as you already know, we started learning chapter 4, Principle of Inheritance and Variation. In this video, we are going to learn sex determination by chromosomes. Okay, so let's get started. Since we are studying about the chromosomes, let us just briefly recall where the chromosome is located and what is this chromosome. Okay, so as you all know, every organism is made up of cells. Inside the cells, we have nucleus. Again, you don't want to get into prokaryotes or eukaryotes, just stick with the cells alone now. So in the cells, we have nucleus. Inside the nucleus, we'll have numbers of chromosomes. So according to the species, again, the number of chromosomes will vary. So when you look too closely into chromosome, you can clearly see the chromosome is made up of chromatin material. It is a chromatin material, condensed chromatin material. So this chromatin is again is a DNA, deoxyribonucleic acid, which is wrapped around a protein called histones, right? So in the segments, some portions or segments of the DNA is what we call genes, and again, different version of the genes is what we call alleles. So I hope you guys are clear up to this. Now let's get started with the topic. So look at this picture. I'm just going to start teaching you guys with human cell example. So in human, every human cell except gamete cells, almost in all somatic cells, you can find that our cell inside the nucleus will have 46 chromosomes, or else we can say that as 23 pairs of chromosomes. So when you look at this chromosome, you can clearly see almost everything looks similar to each other in X shape, right? And everything is joined by a centromere. But when you look at this 23rd pair, if it is a male, then you can see the difference in between two chromosomes here. Okay, so these chromosomes are called sex chromosomes. Okay, sex chromosomes determine the sex of an animal, whether it is dioecious or unisexual organisms. Sex chromosomes are very important, that determines the sex of sex of the organisms. So these chromosomes are called autosomes. Okay, other than sex chromosomes, the remaining chromosomes are called autosomes. So how many pairs of autosomes we have? We have 22 pairs of autosomes and one pair of sex chromosomes. So these sex chromosomes are called allosomes. So again, based on their morphology means based on their appearance, again we can differentiate sex chromosome into two types. If they look dissimilar in shape, say for example, if you look at this here, you can see we totally have 23 pairs of chromosome. In 23 pairs of chromosome, 22 pairs of chromosomes are almost similar to each other, hence we call them as autosomes. And also they also contain homologous counterparts, which means one if you take this pair of chromosome, if you look at the genes here, the same genes will also be here, because it will inherit one from the mother and one from the father, right? So they are called autosomes. Based on their shape and size, they almost look similar to each other, while the sex chromosomes, they might be different or sometimes they might be same. Okay, so in the case of here in this cell, I told you the last pair of this chromosome is called sex chromosomes. They can also be called allosomes. Okay, in this picture you can clearly see the sex chromosome are not similar to each other when you look at their morphology. Okay, so this kind of chromosomes are called heteromorphic. Morphic means morphology, appearance. Since their morphology is not similar, we call them as heteromorphic. While if you look at this chromosome, it's a female cell. If you take human female cell, you can see this 22 pairs of chromosome are called autosomes, and the last one pair, remaining pair, is called sex chromosome, as I told you. And if you look at the structure, they both look similar to each other. Since their morphology is similar to each other, we call them as homomorphic. Okay, so the chromosomes that look similar to each other, since we call them as homomorphic. Homo means what? Same, right? So again, when you talk about their gametes, say for example, in this This is a female chromosomes. It's a female cell. Inside the cell we have female chromosomes. We have totally 46 chromosomes. Otherwise we can say that as 23 pairs of chromosomes. Likewise, in males also we have 23 pairs of chromosome, or we can say that as 46 chromosomes. So you can clearly see here, since female chromosomes, especially the sex chromosome, are similar to each other, hence we call them as homomorphic. And if you take this male chromosomes, they are not similar to each other. Male sex chromosomes, we call them as heteromorphic. And the heteromorphic chromosomes, or else like let's talk about the homomorphic chromosomes. They produce same type of gametes. Say for example, the female will always contain same type of chromosome, same chromosome. So if you take female eggs, all the eggs in the females will always contain X chromosome. Hence, we call that as homogametic. Gametes means what? Egg or sperm, right? Since all the gamete cells contain same type of chromosome, we call them as homogametic. And since they look similar to each other, we call them as homomorphic. And if you take this male chromosomes, in the male chromosome, we can see they are not similar to each other. And if you take male, in human males, if we take their sperm cells, the sperm cells will contain 50 percentage of the sperm cell will contain X chromosome, and 50 percentage of the sperm cell will contain Y chromosomes. Hence we call them as heterogamatic, because the gametes that are produced by humans, especially the sperm cells, half of them contain X chromosome, half of them contain Y chromosomes. Hence their gamete is dissimilar. Like their appearance, we call them as heterogamatic. So now we know what is heterogamatic and what are heterogametes. So in heterogamatic sex determination, it means like, so any one, either male or female, will produce dissimilar gametes. Say for example, if you take humans, in humans, males produce dissimilar gametes, right? So like as I told you, the sperm cells of humans, half of the sperm cells will contain X chromosomes, and half of the sperm cells will contain Y chromosomes. They are dissimilar in shape, I mean in terms of chromosome shape. At the same time, two different types of chromosome are there. Hence, we call that as heterogamatic. So we can call humans as heterogamatic males, while female always produces X chromosome in all their eggs. Okay, and likewise, if you take Drosophila, they also come to the same category, where males always produces heterogamatic chromosomes, while female produces homogametic chromosomes. So the sex will be determined at the time of fertilization, after one cell from the mother and one cell from the father unite together. When they form zygote, during fertilization, the sex of an animal will be determined based on the chromosome that it inherits from the father as well as from the mother, right? So, as I told you, in humans we are called heterogamatic males, and there are many animals. There are few animals that are like heterogamatic females, which means male produce same type of chromosomes while female produce dissimilar gametes. So, hence we call that as heterogamatic females. Let's see one by one now. Now let's see the XX XO type of sex determination. So here the female animal will always produce X chromosomes. In all their eggs you can find same type of chromosome, which is X, hence we call that homogametic, and they are similar. While male will contain only one X chromosome, and sometimes it will not contain any chromosome at all in the or their gamete cells. So hence we call that as XO or null type. So when we cross this, say for example here AA means autosomes, so don't get confused. Likewise, so as I told you, male will contain only one X chromosome and it will not contain another chromosome. It will be like without a chromosome, hence we call that as heterogamatic. In females will contain same same type of chromosome, right? Same type of X chromosome in all the X. So in the sperm cells, it will inherit 22 Autosomes. Okay, it's this animal. It's since it is a Drosophila, it might contain different time number of chromosomes. So it will inherit a certain numbers of autosomes plus one. Say for example, as I told you, when in heterogamatic male, they will produce half number of same chromosomes. Say for example, here we have X and one. Well, there is O means there is no chromosome at all. So in the male sperms, half of them will contain X chromosome and half of them will not contain any chromosome at all. And likewise in female eggs, you can find in their ovums almost all eggs will contain X chromosome. So when we cross this, you can clearly see that almost 50 percentage of 50% chance of getting males and females. So say for example, when this sperm goes and join with this egg, so then you will get females because both X will result into females, right? Likewise, again this sperm goes and fertilize with this egg. Again you will get female only because both contain XX, which means female chromosomes, while this chromosome doesn't contain any X chromosome. Hence we call that as heterogamatic. So this sperm again goes and fertilize with this egg, and what do you get? Males. Likewise, if this sperm goes and fertilize with this egg, you get males, which means X without a chromosome is what we call males, right? So this is what we call XXXO type. Here the males are heterogamatic, which means it will only contain one X chromosome, and there won't be any other chromosome inside in the male sperms, which is otherwise called as O or null type. So when the sperms are produced, the sperm cells will contain, half of them will contain X chromosome and half of them will not contain any X chromosome. Hence we put 0 here. Okay. So whereas in the females, all the eggs will contain X chromosome. So when we cross, we get 50% of chance to get males and 50% of chance to get females. Hence we call this as XXXO type. So this you can find it uh, in different types of animals. So let's learn about XXXY type of sex determination. So recall we are learning heterogamatic males. Okay, so heterogamatic males means males will contain dissimilar gametes. So in your book, it's been Drosophila has been given an example. We humans also come under the same category. So we have XXXY type of sex determination. So here, let's talk about the example here. We have a father and mother. So during meiosis, what happens? The cells will contain usually 46 chromosomes, right? Both parents. So during meiosis, what happened? The 43 becomes 23, right? So in 23, 22 are autosomes, and the remaining one is sex chromosome. So if you take males, if you look at the structure, if you look at the structure itself, you can clearly see they have dissimilar gametes. Hence, we call them as heterogametes. Since males produce heterogametes, we call them as heterogamatic males. Okay. So here, if you look at the female, they contain same type of chromosomes. So in males, so the sperm cells produced by the males, 50% of the sperm cell will contain X chromosome and 50% of the sperm cell will contain Y chromosomes. Likewise, if we take female, since they contain similar gametes, all the eggs produced by the female will always contain X chromosome. Hence, we call that as homogametric and homomorphic, right? So this we already know. Now, during fertilization, let's fertilize this sperm cell with this female egg cell. So this sperm cell is bearing an X chromosome, and the female obviously always contain X chromosomes, right? The female eggs. So the X and X, when they fertilize, obviously it becomes a female. Likewise, this sperm cell is bearing a Y chromosome. So this Y chromosome goes and pair with this X chromosome and during fertilization, obviously it will result into males because males contain X and Y sex chromosomes, right? So this is how sex is determined in males, sorry, in XX and XY type of sex determination. So let's talk about heterogamatic females. So in the previous slides, we learned about heterogamatic males. Why we call that heterogamatic males? Because in males animals or males organisms, dissimilar gametes will be produced. Okay, males only determine the sex of the animal, whether it is going to be male or female, right? This we have seen it earlier. Now, now what we are going to learn is heterogamatic females, which means instead of males, here females will be producing dissimilar gametes. Okay, say for example, we know that males produce in this heterogamatic females type of sex determination, instead of females, males will produce same type of gamete cells. They all will contain same types of gamete cells, hence we call that homogamatic, while the females will produce the different or dissimilar gametes, hence we call that heterogamatic. So just like XX, XY, XX, XO, here also heterogamatic females. In the case of here, say for example, XX, XY type of sex determination, here males will produce X chromosomes, which means all the sperm cells produced by the males will contain X chromosomes, while the female egg, half of them will contain X and half of them will contain Y. Likewise, in XXXO type, males will contain similar X chromosomes, all sperm cells, while the female egg, half of them will contain X and half of them will not contain X or anything, right? The same thing, only the only different is here, instead of males, females will be producing dissimilar gametes, hence we call them as heterogamatic females. So since we have already learned this with XSXO type, we are going to use Z and W instead of X and Y. Okay, so that you don't get confused with that. For the heterogamatic females, instead of X and Y, we are going to use Z and W, right? So the heterogamatic females are of two types. So like XX, XY, XXXO, we are going to use Z and W, remember? So we have Z, Z and ZO and ZW and ZZ. So this we will be seeing it little later now. Yeah. Now let's talk about Z, W and ZZ type of sex determination. So this kind of sex determination is found in gypsy moth. Some fishes, reptiles and birds exhibit this kind of ZW and ZZ type. So don't get confused here. ZW, ZZ type is nothing but the type of chromosome both male and female contain. So in the case of, since we have learning with heterogamatic females, which means here females will produce dissimilar gametes. You can clearly see here the female contain Z and W, while the male contains same type of chromosome Z and Z, right? So here males are homogamatic while females are heterogamatic. So where in which type of animal this kind of different this kind of uh, type of sex determination is found? It is found in gypsy moth, fishes, reptiles and birds. So all the male sperm cells in ZW and ZZ type, here ZZ means males. So all the male sperm cells will contain the Z chromosome. Okay, so we have autosomes, along with that we have Z chromosomes. So all the sperm cells will contain Z chromosomes. So 100% sperm cells will contain Z chromosomes, while the female, half of them, like 50 percentage of the eggs will contain S Z chromosome, while the other 50 percentage of the egg cells will contain W chromosome. So let's fertilize this example and find out how the sex is determined. As we all know, during fertilization the sex is determined. Say for example, here all the sperms will anyways contain Z chromosomes. There is no dissimilar gametes. All of them are similar. So we are going to fertilize this sperm cell with this egg. So both egg as well as sperm cell contain Z and Z. So If both Z and Z means what? It is male. Males are here homogametics, right? So this egg, when we fertilize this egg with this sperm, we get male. Likewise, if we fertilize this sperm cell with this egg, again both contain same type of Z chromosomes. Here, since males are homogametic, both so then it will result into male. While if we uh, pair this sperm cell with this egg, you can see this egg contain W chromosome, right? So Z and W will result into female. Likewise, this goes and fertilized with this egg, obviously will get females. The only difference here, females will have dissimilar gametes, hence we call them as heterogamatic females. Okay, so half of them will contain Z chromosome while the other half will contain W chromosomes. Okay, so don't get confused with this. And uh, so here females, as I told you, females will contain Z W, X with Z and W, while the male will only contain Z and Z, all the sperm cells. Now, let's talk about ZO and ZZ type. Okay, so in here, so we can see this kind of sex determination in domestic chicken, certain moths, butterfly, all this exhibit this kind of sex determination. So remember in XX and XO type, I told you XO means is nothing but there won't be any chromosome. Hence we call that as null chromosome, right? Likewise, in Z1 and ZZ type, here as I told you, in heterogamatic females, males will contain same type of chromosome. So all the males sperm cells will contain same type of chromosome, while the female will either contain a Z chromosome or else without Z chromosome. Otherwise, we can say that as null or zero. So all the males will contain all male sperm cells will contain Z chromosome. So here say for example, so this is a female and this is a male. So here as I told you, males either it will contain Z chromosome or it will not contain any chromosome at all. Hence we put that as zero or null. So like in the males we have all the sperm cells carrying a Z chromosome. So when you pair uh, this egg with this anyways we know that all the sperm cell contains Z chromosome. When you pair this egg with this sperm during fertilization, what do you get? You get males because males are homogametic, right? While uh, if you look at this egg, it doesn't contain any Z chromosome, hence we put 0 here. So here, when you pair this egg with the any sperm cells, then what you get? You get females. Okay, so hence we call them as heterogamatic female. I hope you guys understood up to this. Now let's see the final concept, which is the Y chromosome and male development.